Good morning. My name's Paul Palmer. Today I'm talking about managing change. Now, in the pharmaceutical industry, we have a process for managing change. The process is that you raise a change request, somebody reviews it, assesses it, decides it can go ahead, signs it off, and then you start investigating what you need to do to implement that change. You have to do an assessment, the impact assessment. You have to do review, a cross-functional review, and identify the actions that are going to be taken. And then you look at the timelines, and often the timelines are considered in isolation, I suppose is probably the best way to put it, rather than thinking about the impact on the overall business and the other changes that are going on. And then they're managed as an individual change, not with oversight, not with the whole consideration of all the other changes that are going on. So when you're looking at your change management process, what should you be considering? Well, first of all, as you can see from the image, everybody wants change. But of course, then when you come to look at who's going to do it, who actually wants to change, there's usually nobody. People decide, well, they want to make changes because they don't like how it is now. But they actually, usually, you'll find they're happy with the change, the status quo. They don't want to change now. They just want things to be better. But to be able to make things better, you have to change. So often people resist the change, which then makes the actual process of change management quite difficult. People want to put a quick change in place. I remember, a few years ago, maybe 15, I was involved with the purchasing manager, and he wanted to introduce a new supplier with the use of microcrystalline cellulose, it was. And he wanted just to implement the change. He didn't want to do any assessment. He didn't want to do any review. He just said, right, here's the code. We'll move from that one to that one. And I said, no, hold on a minute. But you use that in 60% of the products on site. Is it going to work? He says, oh, well, the global team have found a big cost saving so we can save money across the whole company. So we just need to do it. And I says, well, we really need to go through a change management process. So reluctantly, he joined the meeting. And we had a cross-functional team there. And we reviewed the impact of this change. And we says, okay, it can go ahead. But before we actually implement, we need to do an assessment. We need to do some testing, make sure that it works with the products that we're manufacturing. So we did some work and we manufactured, I think it was a trial batch rather than a full-scale batch, because we had our own development team and of course we had the facilities to be able to do so rather than putting through a full-scale batch. And what happened? Well, the tablets fell apart. We couldn't actually, however many different ways we wanted to do it, we couldn't actually make a product with this new material. So we thought, well, why is that? What are we doing wrong? Everybody else is doing it around the world. What's going wrong? Well, actually, nobody else around the world was doing it either. We were all at the beginning of the change management process. And I believe we were actually one of the first ones to actually test it rather than just straight implement. And we found that the actual particle size profile of the new material was different to what we'd been using before. And it had a significantly higher proportion of fines than the previous version, or should I say the existing version, because it wasn't previous yet. And it didn't work. Simple as that. We did the Melvin test, we checked it, we saw the profile, went back to global, and the change was cancelled. But all because we'd followed the process. You have to make sure you do your assessment, do your testing that's needed, make sure it's going to work, and then manage the change. But if you don't manage the change, things can go wrong. Talk to you soon. That's Paul Palmer.